Hello and welcome back to From the Be-All End. I'm Simon Evans, and with me is Chris Bowden, Paul Woodhouse, Justin Connolly, and unfortunately we're not got Andrew Greaves, our eternal optimist, with us for a show that would have been rather valedictory for him, really, after that Luton performance. But unfortunately, he's under the weather. He's Greavesy. We wish him all the best and quick recovery. He's a bit of a doubt for the Chelsea game, though. It could be a game-time decision, that one. But he's going to miss out on us talking about something. It's a different mood, isn't it? I can smell that sweet smell of victory in the virtual studio here. I mean, Justin Connolly, we've got 3 points. We've got 3 points.
Well, it is 3 points, isn't it? 2 goals. Wonderful stuff. A massive relief to me. Must be an even bigger relief to the players and company. Not least because now we can stop talking about the fact that we've not won a game and start thinking about, where we go from here. I have to say, I can't say that it wasn't quite a difficult watch, particularly at that second half. But I think that was more down to the way Luton played than the way we played. It's horrible stuff, really. But in the first half, I thought we played well. I thought we played some really good stuff. Amdouni could have had a couple of goals. If he keeps getting chances like that, the goals will come for him. And we should really have killed them off in that first half, I thought. So it was a bit of a relief when we got that goal eventually just before half time. Fantastic finish from Foster again. Ran straight down the middle. Nice assist from Berger, but
it was the ultimate straight line goal, wasn't it? Because it was a straight line from the back all the way down.
Yeah, all the way through.
Even the shot was pretty straight.
Yeah. But it was it was a quality finish, quality moment. And then that second half came, didn't it? And we knew that there was going to be a bit of a barrage, a bit of an onslaught going on. And it seemed inevitable that they were going to score.
And they did, but bounced back straight away. I mean, Woody, what a moment that was to respond to the goal with that wonder strike.
For everybody who caught it, yeah. Because Peacock have had another nightmare. We were just basically like...
Cameraman didn't on my feed.
Looked around and we'd bagged, which is awfully decent of him. But if you actually look at the build-up to that goal from the kickoff, it's a lovely little move, isn't it? It's an exquisite little move, including like the finish. So we've got another Benson on his books. But
it was very Benson-esque, wasn't it?
It's literally all we've got.
Yeah.
I've got Benson-esque written down here as well.
Yeah. Not saying he'd have kept it out, but Kaminsky, we loved scoring against last season. Particularly enjoyed seeing him in the back of the net when Barnsley scored. Yeah. But he's gone with his left hand, which seems the modern goalkeeping way. When you think this, it'd make more sense to go with your right. I don't know whether they get more. They
feels more natural to go with your right, doesn't it?
Yeah. But the modern way seems to be to go with that top hand rather than the bottom hand. But I mean, it's not quite slap bang in the corner. I think it beats him either way. But I think there was something like 9 passes in the move and like 6 or 7 players involved from goalkeeper, all the way, J-Rod, etc. And the lad looks a player, doesn't he, Brun Larson? He's got a decent pedigree, and I'd be surprised if he's not starting on Saturday.
Yeah, you'd think he's got to be in contention for a spot on the wing. I mean, it was another quite sort of tough game for Koleosho, wasn't it? Really, who's made such a bright start this season. Greg Berhalter, the USA coach, just earlier on today was saying that he's in conversations with him, and TBD, where he's on his national team allegiances, and we'll see what comes of that. But he did sort of struggle a bit, didn't he? I mean, he didn't seem to get the space to get at people the way he can, and it does feel like it's coming to the time where that rest idea that we were talking about with Koleosho, that he probably needs a little breather, that Brun Larsen's there as a ready-made replacement, would he?
Yeah, it's why we've got 56 wingers, isn't it? He's very direct, is the lad. And like we've noticed over these past few weeks, that once you get a little bit tighter to him, the less effective he actually is. And I think it is time to let Brun Larsen have a go and let him then let Koleosho scare the living bejesus out of anybody with 20 minutes left. It's a nice option to have, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, we've had some whinges on this show over the last couple of weeks. There's been plenty to whinge about, to be fair. So let's really focus a little bit on the positives from that. I mean, the obvious one is we're playing a team whose style of football was similar to Wimbledon Crazy Gang era, whacking it down the middle, pumping it into the box, and we coped with it, didn't we? I mean, we showed we can handle and battle and still do the sort of ugly stuff that you need to do to win a game like that.
Well, I think that's true. I thought, like Company says, people think they know how we're going to play, but we can mix it up and battle if we have to. We went a bit longer with the ball, didn't we? Trafford wasn't knocking it out to the full backs or the centre halves. He was hitting it longer a bit more because of their pressing. And we did have our backs to the wall, and it did look like we can cope. Obviously, they did get that goal, which was disappointing. But we showed that last year in a few games, didn't we? That we can mix it up and we can do the ugly wins. Obviously, we don't want to play like that all the time, but we know that we can if we have to and get results doing it. And by the way Company reacts to it, it looks to me like he really sort of enjoys those scrappy wins more than he does when we smash teams,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, we forget sometimes that, he was a big strapping centre-half, wasn't he? As was Sean Dyche. I mean, he's going to appreciate a physical battle. And Jordan Bayer, for example, has come out of that game showing that, we all know how good he is on the ball and he can bring the ball out and how smart he is as a cultured central defender. But he showed he could mix it as well, Chris, yeah?
Well, that's ultimately what... I mean, even in the modern game, you have to be able to do that. You've got to be able to compete aerially, compete physically. And I say probably the one area you look at the Burnley defence, with a big question mark, is set plays. If you can restrict those, you're not so bad. But in open play, like I said, they've got pace, they've got height. They're not 9 stone weaklings, are they, at centre back? And it's it is nice to be able to sort of you do enjoy those where you've had to really graft and dig deep, rather than one of those days where it's free flowing and everything comes off and the little tricks and flicks are coming out. And they're almost harder earned, those. And I think everyone of a Burnley persuasion was kicking the cat with 4 minutes to go, and then. That's the football, even in the VAR age where we can't celebrate goals, to instantly within 60 seconds transform your season effectively. And it's even a point I think people would have been disappointed with.
Yeah, you would at the end of that game have been disappointed with a 1-1. I don't know. There was something. I mean, I like the way that we're trying to play, and I like the way teams who play possession football play. I've enjoyed, when I was covering Man City a lot, I enjoyed watching that kind of football. But I found this strange feeling of satisfaction when Charlie Taylor's looking up and just putting it into like row D. It can't be more than row D at Kenilworth Road, really, can it? But there's just this feeling of like...
That's the roof, yeah.
We're in stoppage time, just stick it in stand. It's like, and I doubt very much that Company was on his back about that either, because he's not an ideologue.
Well, what about Guardiola? I mean, Guardiola was applauding City playing it into the corners. Right? Was it the 1-0 at Turf where Aguero forced the ball over the line by, a matter of inches or whatever, and he was urging them to, get it in the corner by the corner flag and.
When he brought on like 2 centre-halves and subs.
Yeah,
remember that?
And sometimes, needs must, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we've spoken about fine margins, haven't we, these past 2 weeks against Forest, obviously VAR, etc. And it seemed that turned a little bit, didn't it, on Tuesday night? We kind of got that decision, which could have been a penalty. Bayer's run through, definitely got his ankle. And that could have been given in a different universe. And then after
you've seen him given out, yeah.
Exactly. And basically, a minute after, and maybe last week you'd have seen. I think we'd have been on the end of a 2-1 whooping. There was only one team going to win that game, that had the momentum, and then we suddenly spoiled it all by just going down the other end and bagging. But I think we could have seen a very, very different game had we not scored immediately, and obviously that penalty had been given. But them's is a fine margins, isn't it? And we deserve them.
Exactly. The only thing was, I mean, Morris, like I say, he does catch his ankle first, and then the ball. I don't know whether he intends to, or whether it's just his hands go up, Morris, and his feet spread, and whether it's sort of to me those are telltale signs of simulation.
Yeah.
Now, whether the assist, but again, they've got the opportunity to look at it again.
It can work against you. You're right. It can work. Yeah. I think refs can spot that, even though there's been contact, and maybe if you're playing for it, the refs will just think, the first reactions, and then VAR doesn't get involved, thankfully. Otherwise, they freeze frame that contact on the ankle, and we're doomed.
Yep.
I thought it was more of a penalty than Alderkeel's on against Newcastle. It was much more in the other direction, I thought. I mean, Alderkeel got a lot more on the ball than in this incident. But I just think neither of them were sort of clear and obvious errors, which is what they're trying to correct, isn't it? So you have to say it was both of them with the sort of right decision. If it had gone either way, you wouldn't have complained. So you just go with what they decide on the pitch, don't you? In that case,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I mean, the other big positive was Foster coming back into the team, and we'd all expected him to make a positive impact, and we were saying how his stock had grown while he was out of the team, but he did make an impact, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought he had a fantastic game as usual. He's very, very strong on the ball. He seems like maybe it's having a pre-season under his belt, but he seems like he's much stronger than he was last season on the ball. He's quick as well, isn't he? He's got it all going. I mean, obviously he fits that profile, and the stats are obviously proving to be correct on him because he looks like a much better player in the Premier League than he did in the Championship, which sometimes happens the other way around, doesn't it? So, how many goals has he got now? 3 in how many games has he played for? That's not a bad return.
Yeah. Plus the one.
Plus the Forest one.
Chalked off, yeah.
Plus the Forest one, which we're counting.
No, but I think it's a good point you make there that he signed in the middle of the season, didn't he? And I think that's probably underestimated how difficult that is to not only join a new club in January, but to switch leagues completely and come into a completely different level and everything. So he probably has really benefited from this. I mean, he looks a completely different player, really, doesn't he? I mean, none of those things you just highlighted did we really look at last season and go, but he's quick and he's strong. And
credit to Vincent. Yeah. Credit to Vincent for sticking with him and playing him through it, because we were all thinking, weren't we, towards the end of last season that maybe this lad hasn't got it, and he was just getting played for the sake of playing him. But now we've seen, like we said, a complete turnaround, and so fair play to the management team, coaching team, etc., for getting that out of him.
He did say in the documentary, didn't he? There's that bit where companies saying, like, you're asking me why did we spend so much on this guy, Lyle Foster? Believe me, next season you'll be saying, how did we get him so cheap? And actually, I think you're already at that point. He looks a bit better than a 9 million striker.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, if he gets double figures, there'll be the clubs higher up that Premier League table come calling. Take it back to Burnley's first season at this level with. I don't think Stephen Fletcher quite got there, but he'd done enough to get a move to what on paper was a team higher up. Higher up the pecking order as such. But I think we saw glimpses, didn't we? Particularly of his ball carrying. But often he sort of, when he did play, he would play on the left-hand side. And, it wasn't often deployed through the middle because of, the success of Barnes and Teller, etc.
That's true, yeah.
We watched him against Fleetwood when he did play through the middle. But, I mean, they were pretty much all rotten that night. It was a poor display against... 10 men for most of the game, and you did wonder then, because every second touch was a tackle, and you wondered what we've got. But he's not come from, like an Anderlecht or one of the big hitters in Belgium. Was it Westerlo? So it's a fantastic spot. He's obviously, you're not they're not one of the great international countries in terms of football, South Africa. But if Mug, if you're an international footballer, he's seen the raw ability there, and he thinks, I can work with you. Bellamy can work with you, and we'll turn you into a proper player.
No, absolutely. I quite like the chant as well. I have to say, it's not often like a good original sort of chant that brings a slight smile to your face when you hear it. I mean, the Waka Waka. He's come from Africa. I thought...
You're expecting Lyle Foster.
Yeah. But it is quite funny seeing that video clip where there's like lots of balding, greying, middle-aged men singing a Shakira song. I'm not sure what the lyrics are.
But the lad himself, no doubt, hears that and he's lifted. He must be. He's come to. A strange land and a strange town, and he's the talisman now, isn't he?
Exactly.
I think every Burnley fan, they're hanging their hat on him now every week. We miss him when he don't play, and when he does play, he's been our star man.
I was listening to his post-match interview as well on the TV. And I'm starting to detect slight changes in his accent, because when the first one I heard from him, he very much sounded like a South African. And now there's little bits coming in, little vowel usages and stuff like that. You start to think, could this be a sort of Jan Molby situation where Lyle Foster turns into there's definitely bits of Lancashire twang popping in there.
Good lad. That's what I like.
Man of the match then? Who are we picking out as our standout performer in that one? Start us off, Woody. Who are you picking?
I think I might go for Berger. Both him and Cullen. I thought the midfield was extremely good on Tuesday, but Berger overall is pretty much for that little dink pass, and he looked very good in spells overall, I thought.
And that's after watching it 4 times, is it, Woody?
Only 1.5. The TV broke, exactly. Changed my mind by Friday. You can
Cullen, you mentioned Cullen, and he sort of responded. We had a little bit of criticism of Cullen on here, didn't we? And wondering if he's got it at this level. But I thought he did respond pretty well in that game. Justin, your man of the match.
I've got to go. You've got to go for Berger as well. I think he had his best game for us so far. He was able to show off a range of passing. Showed what he can do if he gets in the right areas on the pitch. I think he did enjoy a bit more space than he might get in other games, because they left him wide open in that first half, didn't they? It was ridiculous. Cullen too, I thought he pulled the strings in the first half. Second half, he was strong defensively. That header off the line was like a game-changing moment, wasn't it? So those two in the midfield I thought were wonderful, but I think Berger, having had his best game for us, was my top man.
Boards?
Yeah, hat-trick Berger, how we're going to pronounce it. But it's really tough to pull off that. It looks easy, doesn't it? The through ball for the opening goal, but he's got it. Everything, the weight of it, the placement is perfect. I think. I mean, they got him for sort of like 12 million or so due to his contract situation. We've got a 25 million pound footballer when he's bang at it. And I think he's going to be a big player. He gives you that extra physicality, but he can play. He's good at carrying the ball. He can win it back. He can keep it. He can nick you a goal or two. And I remember speaking to someone within the club when he went to Sheffield United, and they were keen on him then. They clocked him and just simply couldn't do the financials on it. So. For change of manager, a bit more money in the pot, and he's finally arrived, and he's making himself very much at home.
Yeah, I'm not gonna dispute the majority decision of the panel there, but I'll go with Jordan Bayer, because I just thought he had such a night there. He was under so much pressure all through the game with those long balls coming in, and stuck at it and did a really good job, and showed the other side, as we were saying, the other side of his game as well. But absolutely, Sander Berger, Looking like the player we'd hoped we'd signed. Didn't make an instant impact, but let's be honest, it's never easy when players switch clubs and come in. And he was thrown into the team, I think, against City like 2 days after signing for us. So he's doing pretty well. And that midfield looked solid, didn't it? Let's just have a little chat with our listeners now. We're asking for a little bit of feedback. We're always asking for feedback, and so when we get it, we should respond to it. A few questions coming in from Twitter about a range of topics, really. One of which is asking about. It's from FGB or F Bradshaw 61, who says, given Newcastle United's performance in the Champions League against Paris Saint-Germain, were we all perhaps a little bit too harsh with our assessment of our performance against them, given we were in the game for a long time and only brought down by 2 mistakes? I guess another way of asking that question would be, are we better than Paris Saint-Germain? But we did it. We put up a better show against Newcastle. It's a fair point, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, I think it is a reasonable point to make, but we don't know how good Paris Saint-Germain are, do we? That's the important thing to remember. And also, it's a different occasion, isn't it, for them? I would imagine our game was a bit more like, before the Lord Mayor's show for them. They were gearing up for that all week, weren't they? That big night at St James's Park, the first time they were back in European football. The atmosphere would have been... I mean, it's always a good atmosphere there, isn't it? And it's always quite an intimidating place to go. But I think, I suppose it does put it in a better light when you see what's happened in the European game. But I'm always wary about comparing performances like that. It doesn't mean that we are better than Paris Saint-Germain, does it? Because it's a different performance, it's a different competition, it's a different kind of game.
But it does give a bit of perspective to us losing there, doesn't it? When Mbappe goes there and loses,
and I think it's obviously to go there and only lose 2-0 is kind of better than what we imagined that might have happened. But I just think on the day, so many of our players underperformed, and we could have got something better, something more out of that game.
Yeah, Chris, one for you. This from Ian Lord. If Ekdal was fit, would you play him instead of Al-Dakhil? And if not, why not?
I'd stick with Al-Dakhil. I know he's he's turned for the goal the other night, and there's some moments where he's learning on the job. But I think that recovery pace is absolutely critical at this level. And Ekdal's very good, in terms of possession and bringing the ball out and picking a pass. I don't think Al-Dakhil's too far behind in that sense. I said I think we said the other week after the United game, a lot of his passes would have been sideways and backwards. But if you look at his pass map, it's very progressive, very surprisingly so. More than Bayer actually on the day, and I don't know. I think this lad is destined for greatness. I really do. And I think in the long term, he's younger than Ekdal, and I just think he's got the higher ceiling for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and I'm a big fan of Ekdal, but I tend to agree. Maybe Ekdal's just a bit stronger, but very good on the ball, as you say, but. I don't think Al-Dakhil's done anything deserves to be left out. Woody, one for you here. This is from Nicholas Ward. Quite a double question, really. I don't know if we're allowing them, but go on, we'll go for it. Mistakes in recruitment this summer. Too many wingers, lack of striker behind Foster, and a central midfielder who can play alongside Cullen. Now, this seems to be his main point. Assumed that was supposed to be Sander Berge, but he has thrived further forward. We're missing someone who can have the ball, particularly when we're under pressure. It was noticeable against Luton. This is a second comment. He's gone over the word length here. Noticeable against Luton when we needed to take the sting out of it and control the ball. Cullen is really our only option. Brownhill's energy is great. We need someone, though, who can handle the ball and control the tempo more in situations like that. Pull that to pieces, Woody.
Is that a question?
Yes. That's one of those dopey American questions where they just go on a little rant and they've answered the question themselves. Yes. The answer is to that, yes.
You think so?
Yes.
It's not Brownhill?
I mean, it's Brownhill at a push, isn't it? You know perfectly well that he's not exactly the best at filling in that little hole at the back. If we want to progress in another year or two, then we need to improve in that area, I think. Because besides that, we don't actually have a lot of cover, do we?
No, we don't. It's composure, I suppose, he's talking about, isn't it? Is that, Chris, do you think that's what Brownhill's missing from his game a bit, that sort of composure? He gets about the park and does stuff, but...
I don't think he's that type of player. You look at his reel, Masengo looks tailor-made for that role. You know, maybe I know he's played for the under-23s, maybe about developing his match fitness, etc., and bringing him through. But no, Brownhill to me has always been, I mean, Sean used him as a number 10, which I like Jeff Hendrick. I didn't think Hendrick was a 10 either. He's not. He don't get enough assists and don't get enough goals at this level. He's a 5-goal-a-season man in the Championship, Brownhill, and he's not a holding midfielder. He's just one of those. He's going to break up play, and hopefully, nick you a couple of goals and create a couple of assists. But he's not going to sit there like Cullen and thread things together and everything goes through him and say dictating the tempo of a game. But no chance.
Okay, so coming up after this break, we'll look ahead to the game against Chelsea and look at our possibilities for can we pick up a second win. So Justin, Chelsea at Turf Moor on Saturday, that's going to be in that category of games that we say we're not expected to win, but there does feel like there's a little slither of opportunity there given their form, doesn't there?
Well, it's a real potluck what you get with Chelsea at the start of this season, isn't it? I think probably a bit like us, they're trying to find their feet, aren't they? We've got a new manager who's trying to settle what is a massive squad. Some really talented players. So I think it's going to take time for him to get it right. And hopefully the win they had against Fulham on Monday night isn't the start of him getting it right. I mean, they've lost games you might have expected them to win. And that defeat at home to Forest has got to give us some hope, hasn't it? I think Company talked in his press conference today about this game being one of those games that, we've lost it before we've even kicked a ball. But I'm not sure about that. I think this is one of those games that isn't necessarily in that category. I think what they've got is they've got some of the other teams that are in that category they've got talented players, haven't they, who can turn a game on their own. You just wonder if Mudryk's going to stop misfiring now he's got off the mark. Although I noticed he went off at half-time, didn't he, on Monday night, and was replaced by Ian Maatsen.
Ian Maatsen, yeah.
Which was a strange one, although I did see that Maatsen had hit one against the post, hadn't he? But, I think it's so difficult to call given their up and down form. I think there's hope for us there. It's not one of those games that we definitely aren't going to get anything out of, but just depends which Chelsea turns up on the day, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Woody, your feelings about this one?
Chilwell's out, isn't he? And James may or may not be back, so it may mean Maatsen winds up playing some form of left wing back for whatever reason. Like you say, Mudryk might be out. Caicedo obviously looks to be finding his legs in a Chelsea shirt. So I don't know, you might have wanted to play them maybe a couple of weeks ago. They seem to have turned the corner a little bit. But, optimist me, Greavesy me, may go for 1-1 draw. Yeah.
What do we think about Maatsen? Is he going to get some stick or will he get a good reception?
I think there'll be a smattering, won't there? Yeah, I know he was fabulous for Burnley, and I think it was a little, a little over the top how it was portrayed. He wants to stick it out and make a name for himself at Chelsea, which is, why wouldn't he? He's breaking into the I hate calling them Netherlands. They'll always be Holland to me. Into the senior squad with
Not a
with
newfangled name.
I know, but it's like
Come on.
it's Holland, isn't it? It's Holland.
Yeah.
No, I can see why. He'd obviously had a solid pre-season, and Pochettino seemed to want him about the place. But no, I say it'd be our luck if James is fit, because I'd quite like to see any one of our wide players go at the lad Gusto. I think he's eminently beatable. But they're not. You look at the Chelsea of old, and no matter what else was around them, they always had that core of Cech, Terry, Lampard, Drogba, and that was just it was like unbeatable at times. But they've got a very, 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 very talented bunch of players and masses of potential. In the future, they could be sensational, but right now, it's like some of this, these young Burnley players, we don't quite know how good they're going to be. But like I say, Mudrik's, he's been, very much miss rather than hit so far. I like Conor Gallagher. He just, that energy he gives them. He might not be as cultured a footballer as, say, to pick on those that have gone before, like a Lampard or something like that. But his energy gives you something else. When you're not at the races and he's like snapping into players and winning the ball back, and like Joey Barton was at Burnley, dragging the team forward with him, saying, "Come on, follow my example," sort of thing. But Fernandes, I'm not overly impressed with. Casado,
You know what? I watched Fernandes playing for Argentina.
That's for Argentina, yeah.
Well, after the World Cup, I was like, why have they spent so much money on him? He didn't stand out for Argentina. I've watched them in their qualifiers, and he looks really good. You can see why they spent a load of money on him.
I can see that. But in a Chelsea shirt, I'm yet to see it, to be honest. But let's say Thiago Silva's getting a bit of stick. I don't think the goalkeeper. I think they've downgraded in the goalkeeper department, and it's a bit of a mishmash really at Chelsea at the moment.
It would be interesting if Martin does play at left back, because I did wonder last year if we went up to the Premier League with Martin as our left back, whether he'd be good enough defensively. And I'd be really interested to see like him up against Brun Larsen. Yeah, Brun Larsen actually, because he's pretty quick, is Martin. So I think he'd be able to cope with Koleosho probably. But someone smart like Brun Larsen taking him on, that could be quite an ironic thing, couldn't it, if we beat Chelsea as a result of Martin playing left back for them and us exploiting his defensive weaknesses after we've reportedly bid 30 million for him.
Exactly.
That would be wonderful. Has he been playing at left back, though? I thought Cucurella played at left back on.
Yeah, he's been more midfield.
Played at right back, Cucurella, didn't he?
Oh, did he? I didn't
Levi Colwill played on the left, and like I say, Maatsen came on for Mudryk, who was playing left mid.
So Posh obviously doesn't fancy Maatsen as a defender either, by the sound of it.
Well, see, he's playing effect. I mean, he can play left back, Colwill, but he's more a centre half, isn't he? But, that's that right side. Like I say, whether it's Cucurella, Gusto, if Reece James is obviously a very, very, if injury prone, very, very good footballer. But I'd like to. Hopefully, it's Gusto or Cucurella.
What about our starting 11 then? After a win, it's a classic dilemma, isn't it? Do you change your winning team? But especially after waiting a fair while for a win. But there are some possible changes we could make, and it's a different opponent, very, very different opponent. Woody, are you looking at any switches?
I mean, Vinny will change it up, won't he? I think you bring Brun Larsen in. Definitely. There's a bit of a question mark, I think, about Amdouni. I'm on the fence about him a little bit. I feel that his head drops when things don't quite go for him. He seems to play in flashes. And I don't know whether there's a better option there, but his flashes are exceptional. Let's put it that way. But other than that, I'd keep it pretty much the same. I don't see much reason to change much else up, really. Keep on keeping on.
Probably, let's say Brun Larsen for me to start. Probably Koleosho to make way, but I think the back four is pretty much picking itself at the moment. Cullen starts, Berge starts, Brownhill starts, Foster starts. I think it's.
So who's on the other wing then? If Brune Larsson's on the right, who were playing on the left?
If you're not if I'm let's say if I'm doing he can play that right hand side. I don't think have we seen him on the left as much. I'd love to see Zaroury, but I don't know.
Well, that leads us on to the Zaroury issue, because there was some suggestions being made that the reason he wasn't even featuring was because of an illness, but apparently that's not true, and it's just companies said it's just a selection thing. We've got a lot of players at the same level, but Justin, you're a big Zaroury fan, as am I. Are you a bit puzzled by all this?
I am a bit puzzled. His exact words were, "We have a lot of players who are at a similar level, so we might have to leave one out." That came obviously after that fabulous performance he put in against Salford. I know it's Salford, and you can take that with a pinch of salt, but you don't play like that in the starting lineup. 3 assists, some fantastic football, and then not even make the squad for the next game. That seems really, really weird. And I'm surprised he hasn't played more altogether. In fact, I thought last season he definitely looked like one of those players who we would have no worries about his ability to step up and become a Premier League player. But it's just not. What we have to remember in all this is we don't see everything, do we? We don't see what's going on the training pitch. We are not party to the conversations that they have between themselves. Yeah. So it strikes me that there's every possibility that something behind the scenes has happened that we don't know about, because it on the face of it, all things being equal, he should have been in the starting lineup against Luton, never mind on the bench. And the fact that he wasn't suggests that there's just something else that we're not aware of.
Yeah, we're not aware of, are we? I mean, and this is, this goes back to what we've talked before about journalism as well, hasn't it, Chris? Because what happens on the training ground, sometimes you can pick up bits and bobs from people now and then if something extraordinary happens, but most of the time we're not, even journalists who are there every day covering the club aren't watching the training sessions. They're not allowed in. So we don't know if Zaroury's not putting the effort in or whatever it is. Not suggesting that's the case at all. But are you a bit baffled by it, really? Because you thought he would have started against City. I mean, he got sent off after coming on as a sub, if I recall.
Yeah.
It's that sort of. I suppose show me age. I'm a bit old school. To me, if you do pretty well in a game and you pick up 3 assists, you're knocking on the door. But in this, this modern day where Guardiola, how many times is it like Foden? He'll come on and score a couple and then not play the next game for City. And it seems to be no marker of whether you play the next game when, how well you do prior. But I don't know. We all had really high hopes, and it's so frustrating. We want to see him get, pick up a run of games and get into that groove and show us what he can do. Because I think we talk about high ceiling. I think he's got that. He's an exceptional player.
So what we're going for prediction wise, we'll round off with a quick prediction round. I know we all hate predictions, but let's do them anyway. Because Woody, go on. How are you feeling about it? You've got that. You got that greasy optimism in you this today. I can feel it.
You're welcome. I'll go 3-1 Burnley.
It's going out on a limb.
There you go. Well, don't ask me and then go,
No, because I was going to go 3-1 as well.
You can have it.
It's a great prediction. No.
I think it's going to be tighter than that. I think it'll all hinge on that first goal, won't it? If we score a goal first, I'll go 2-1 to Burnley.
Buds?
I'll say I'm fingers crossed they can nick a 1-0, get that first goal, and see the job through. Get that clean sheet as well.
Right, I'm going to have to out-optimist Woody, I think, because I just think there's going to be a game come. We've shown the scrappy side. We've had the unlucky side at Nottingham Forest. We've had the be completely outclassed stuff against Villa and Spurs and City. I just think there's going to be one game where it all just clicks, and all our attacking players, when Lyle Foster bangs in two, and Amdouni's first-time shot against Luton, he did absolutely everything right there. The ball was slightly behind him. He hits it first time, but it's just straight at the keeper, unfortunately. There's nothing wrong. That's going to go in bottom corner one day. I think it's all going to come together in one game, and I have a feeling that Chelsea might be the unfortunate victims of the day when it all clicks for Burnley. So I'm going 4-1. But I would have gone 3-1 if Woody hadn't have already claimed it. But, 4-1. All right, brilliant. Well, that's been good. Good chat. And we'll be back again to debrief on that on Monday and look into how it all goes and whether our predictions look absolutely ridiculously over-optimistic or not. You can make your own judgment on that over the weekend. And, in the meantime, of course, don't forget to follow us on social media at Beehole Podcast. Leave comments and tell people everywhere you can. Let people know. Just do us a bit of a favour and tell people. Thanks very much for the positive feedback as well. Some nice stuff. Some complaints even that we didn't do an immediate debrief after the Luton Town game. Where was the Wednesday morning show? Well, we'd have been cutting it a bit short for things to talk about today, so we thought we'd leave it a day. But we'll bear that in mind. If people want to hear debriefs the day after the match, we'll do our best. But we all have lives and jobs as well. So thanks very much indeed for joining us, and have a great weekend. Up the Clarets and enjoy that sweet smell of victory for another 24 hours or so.